But thank you for letting me come anyway, because this is Read Across America Week. We're celebrating reading.
So you can see, is that?
No, that's one thing. Also, wait, she's one, Miss Robert is like the most oldest person in Raynham?
Yes. There may be a couple people at the Life Care Center too, but as far as somebody actually living in a home in Raynham, as far as we know, there may be somebody else out there, but 101. And she's still active. She still is very smart. She can do things. She's great. You'd never know when you look at her that she was 101 years old. As a matter of fact, she went to the Selectmen's meeting with us last week because the Selectmen proclaimed this week Read Across America Week in the town of Raynham. She was there with her cat in a hat, and I asked her to say a few words, and she said, well, I'm the oldest cat in town. So, in any case, as I mentioned, we're celebrating Read Across America Week, not only here in Raynham, but across the country, and celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday. Anybody know why we would celebrate Read Across America? Why would we do something like that? Any ideas? Yes, ma'am. Because reading is important, right? Reading is really the key to a good education and a lifetime of learning. So it's so important. Everybody here like to read? Really important to read. You know, read books, things that you enjoy, because when you pick up a book and you read, you can take a trip to the moon, you can take a trip back in time or into the future. You can do all kinds of things, and you can learn all kinds of things. It's really important. And we celebrate Dr. Seuss because he was a great children's author. He was actually, does anybody know anything about Dr. Seuss? Anybody? He was actually born, anyone know where he was born? In Springfield, Massachusetts, right in our state, on this date, March 2nd, in 1902. So if he were still alive, he would be 114, right? But he did pass away a few years ago. But he wrote, anyone want to guess how many books that he wrote? Yes.
104.
No, not quite, but that's a good guess. Actually, yes.
Wait, just the one thing. It's in the hundreds?
Not really. Cut it about in half.
I say 52.
That's close. Yes.
53.
Well, he actually, while he was alive, he wrote and published 44 books. But then after he died, some of the books that he had started, someone else finished, or he co-authored some of them, and some people wrote a book in his style. And if you add those, then we come up to like 66 books. But they're all over the world. They were printed, I think, in about 18 different languages, and millions of copies have been sold. Little children use them to learn to read. Some of the children's books, anybody remember any of the names of any of the children's books?
What are some of the Dr. Seuss books that you remember from when
What
you
are
were
some
little?
of the Dr. Seuss books you remember? Yes.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Green Eggs and Ham, that's a famous one, yes.
Is How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
Yes, that's one. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, yes. Yeah, absolutely. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, yes.
The Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat, and then he had a sequel, Cat in the Hat Comes Back. Yes.
The Grinch.
Yes, that would be How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Yes, he wrote all kinds of books, and even some that are really fun too, some tongue twisters. I brought a couple with me here. This was the first book that he wrote. To think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. There is actually a Mulberry Street in Springfield where he grew up. And there are certain illustrations, because he was, in addition to a good writer, he was a great illustrator. There are some illustrations that are reminiscent of things that he actually saw when he was growing up in Springfield. But another thing that we learned through Dr. Seuss's life, in addition to his books, is the fact that what he really believed in, too, is that you never give up. I'm sure you've heard that before. This was his first book. And what do you think happened when he sent it to a publisher to have it printed and published? Do you think they said, oh yeah, Dr. Seuss is a great book? Do you think they said that? They sent it back to him and they said, no way. Nobody would ever read a book like this. Nobody would want it. It was rejected. They didn't want it. But he didn't give up. He sent it to another publisher. Again, it was rejected. 29 times he sent this book to publishers and they rejected it. They didn't like it. They didn't think anybody would want to read it. Until finally someone did publish it, and that was the first book starting a career that we said 44 books, and if you add those others after he passed away, 66 books. So he became one of the most famous writers in our history, obviously. And some great books. I brought a couple of them with me. You probably know Oh, the Places You'll Go. This one they actually give to kids sometimes when they graduate from high school or college, because it talks about Oh, the Places You'll Go. It's actually a really nice one. It's not too long, and it's got a lot of tongue twisters in it and great illustrations. How many know this book? Okay. And then, of course, another one of his famous books is The Lorax. Probably heard about this one. And again, some of them have themes in them, messages for people of all ages, not just for children. Did you have a question?
Yeah, you said Dr. Seuss was one of the best book writers. Who is the best?
Well, it's sort of a matter of opinion. Some people would say he is the best.
I meant the most famous.
He is definitely one of the most famous. There are a number, but he is definitely one of the most famous, for sure. And some people would say the most famous. He's certainly probably coming from Massachusetts. That would be for sure. 14 Years of Who, you know about that book? That's a great one, too. And I had trouble in getting to Sola Solu. I like this one as well. So do you think we should read one of these? Mm-hmm. All right, how many want to vote? We'll do it very democratically here. How many would like The Lorax? How many would like Trouble in Getting to Sola Solu?
I've never heard of that one. I want to hear it.
It's a different one. Many people know about this one, so maybe we should do. Is it okay if we do Sola Solu? Let's do this one, because it's one you probably haven't heard of before. And it is a great one, and again, great illustration, so let's go. I was real happy and carefree and young, and I lived in a place called the Valley of Vung. And nothing, not anything ever went wrong until, well, one day I was walking along, and I guess I got careless. I guess I got gawking at daisies and not looking where I was walking. And that's how it started. Sock, what a shock. I stubbed my big toe on a very hard rock, and I flew through the air, and I went for a sail, and I sprained the main bone in the tip of my tail. I love these rhyming. Now, I never had ever had troubles before, so I said to myself, I don't want any more. If I watch out for rocks with my eyes straight ahead, I'll keep out of trouble forever. I said, is that possible to keep out of trouble forever?
No, God, no.
But watching ahead, well, it just didn't work. I was watching those rocks, and I felt a hard jerk. A very fresh green-headed Quilligan quail sneaked up from in back and went after my tail. Sometimes trouble can come up from you from behind. And I learned there are troubles of more than one kind. Some come from ahead, and some come from behind. So I said to myself, now I'll just have to start to be twice as careful and be twice as smart. I'll watch out for trouble in front and back sections by aiming my eyeballs in different directions. That would be a really good trick if you could do that, right? You've heard sometimes people say someone has eyes in the back of their head because they see everything, but obviously it's just an expression. I found this to be quite a difficult stunt, but now I was safe both in front and in back. Here he is. Then new troubles came from above, from below, a skirts at my neck and a shrink at my toe, and now I was really in trouble, you know. The rocks and the quail and the squirts and the shrink. I had so many troubles, I just couldn't think. He also makes up words, rhyming words that really don't make any sense. But that's okay. It's called poetic license, right? Okay, let's see here. There I was, all completely surrounded by trouble, when a chap rumbled up in a one-wheeler wobble. Young fellow, he said, what has happened to you has happened to me and to other folks too. So I'll tell you what I have decided to do. I am off to the city of Sola Solu, on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. Do you think there's really a place where there are no troubles?
No.
It would be a nice place. It is not very far, and my camel is strong. He'll get us there fast, so hop on. Come along. So he decided he wants to get away from his troubles, so he's going to head to this wonderful place called Sola Solu. I jumped up behind him, then all through that day the wubble wubbled on in a wobblesome way. The road got more bumpy, more rocky, more tricky. By midnight, I tell you, my stomach felt icky. And so I said, Mister, please, when do we get to that wonderful town? Aren't we almost there yet? Young fellow, he told me, don't start in so soon. At sunrise, we'll drive into Solar Saloon, and you'll have no more troubles. I promise, I do. So here he is off on his journey to Solar Saloon, but he's having a few troubles. He's trying to get away from troubles, but he's having a few troubles on his way. But when dawn finally came and the darkness got light, that wonderful city was nowhere in sight. Instead of the city, we ran into trouble. Our camel got sick, and he started to bubble. We had to pull him in the one-wheeler wubble. So there we were in a dreadful position. One camel sure needed a camel physician. And the camel pulling his little cart there got sick. And more trouble. Now, doctors for camels are not often seen, especially on mountains. They're far, far between. But we pulled that old wubble and set out to find some doctor while dragging our camel behind. It looks like it turned out to be more of a trip than we expected. Here, let's see the illustration. Okay. I pulled and pulled and pulled, and the next thing I knew, I was pulling the camel and wubble chat too. Now, really, I thought this is rather unfair, but he said, don't you stew, I'm going to share. Look, our friend here ends up pulling the whole group there. This isn't such an easy travel that he thought he was going to have. This is called teamwork. I furnish the brains, you furnish the muscles, the aches, and the pains. I'll pick the best roads, tell you just where to go, and we'll find a good doctor more quickly, you know. Then he sat and he worked with his brain and his tongue, and he bossed me around just because I was young. He told me go left, then he told me go right, and that's what he told me all day and all night. You think of this character. He's going to sit there, relax, use his brain and his voice, and give orders to our little friend here. Next morning, we located Dr. Sam Snell, who knew all about tonsils and camels as well. Our camel, he said, had a bad case of gleeks and should lie to flat in bed for at least 20 weeks. I was tired, how I wanted to crawl in that bed, but the wobble chap sent me away and he said, your troubles are practically all at an end. Just run down that hill and around the next bend, and you'll come to the Happy Way bus route, my friend. The Happy Way bus route leaves at 4:42 and will take you directly to Solar Saloon on the banks of the beautiful River Wazoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. Well, the bus stop was there, and that part was just fine, but attached on a stick was a very small sign saying, notice to passengers using our line. We are sorry to say that our driver, Butch Myers, ran over our 4 nails and has punctured all tires. So until further notice, the 442 cannot possibly take you to Solar. So he gets to the bus stop, and lo and behold, the bus had got 4 flat tires and is out of service. But I wish you a most pleasant journey by feet. Signed by bus line president Horace P. Sweet. So I went on by feet thanks to Horace P. Sweet, and that Horace P. Sweet almost ruined my feet. So he has to walk to Solar. 100 miles later, my feet were so sore, and wouldn't you know it, it started to pour. Just when you think nothing else could go wrong. I was drenched to the skin when a chap in a slicker splashed up and he yelled, it's the Midnight Jigger. The Midnight Jigger came early this year, and it's not going to be very comfy around here. And fool would get out, any fool would get out. So I packed up my things, and I'm off to my granddaddy's out in Palm Springs. Take cover, he yelled. Use my house if you wish. Then the chap in the slicker splashed off like a fish. Getting a really bad storm. I ran in the house and I fell in a heap. I needed my rest, but I just couldn't sleep. Did you ever sleep when your feet were like ice, with a family of owls and a family of mice? I listened all night to the growls and the yowls and the chattering teeth of those mice and those owls, while the midwinter jigger howled horrible howls. I tossed and I flipped and I flopped and I flopped. It was 5:15 when I finally slept. All right. Then I dreamed I was sleeping on billowy billows of soft silk and satin marshmallow stuffed pillows. I dreamed I was sleeping in Sola Solu on the banks of the beautiful river Wahoo, where there never were troubles, at least very few. And Funny fell asleep. He's really tired after walking all that way in the rain. Oh my gosh. Anybody want to guess what's going to happen when he gets to Sola Solu, this wonderful place? Anybody have a guess? Yes.
There's going to be so many problems.
Maybe more trouble there? Anybody else? Yeah, what do you think?
Maybe more problems.
Maybe more problems. Then I woke up and it just wasn't true. I was crashing downhill in a flubberless flood with suds in my eyes and my mouth full of mud and my nose full of water, my ears full of shrieks of the owls flying off with the mice in their beaks. And I said to myself, now I really don't see why troubles like this have to happen to me. I floated 12 days without toothpaste or soap. I practically almost had given up hope when someone up high shouted, "Here, catch the rope." Then I knew that my troubles had come to an end, and I climbed up the rope calling, "Thank you, my friend." We got caught in this flood, but somebody finally threw him a lifeline. I got to the top, but it wasn't a friend, and I saw that my troubles were not at an end. A big man on a horse scared me out of my wits. He bellowed, "I'm General Genghis Khan Schmitz. There's a war going on, and it's my time that you knew. Every lad in this land has his duty to do. We're marching to battle. We need you, my boy. We're about to attack. We're about to destroy the perilous cruiser of Pumblepoo's Pass. So get into line. We're a private first class." So he was volunteered to go into this army here. They're marching off to war. Oh, my gosh. His troubles are definitely not at an end. He gave me a shooter and one little bean, which was not very much, if you know what I mean. Then he yelled, "Get that cruiser, attack without fear. The glorious moment of victory is near." And the glorious general led the advance with a glorious swish of his sword and his lance, and a glorious clank of his tin-plated pants. This Dr. Seuss come up with these ideas, Then he went round a corner and found that, alas, there was more than one cruiser in Pumblepoo's Pass. And Genghis Khan Schmitz shouted out to his men, "This happens in war every now and again. Sometimes you are winners, sometimes you are losers. We never can win against so many cruisers. And so I suggest that it's time to retreat." And the army raced off on its tin-plated feet. And he still hasn't gotten to Sola Solu. There I was with more cruisers than I'd ever seen. There I was with my shooter and only one being. There I was, and I thought, will I ever get through to the wonderful city of Sola Solu on the banks of the beautiful river Wazoo, where they never have troubles, at least very few. Anybody think they would probably give up at this point? Oh my gosh, it must be difficult to get to this place. I had terrible trouble in staying alive. Then I saw an old pipe that said vent number 5. I didn't have time to find out what that meant, but the vent had a hole, and that's the hole where I went. He just wanted to escape at this point. Well, that vent where I went was a sort of a funnel, and that led me down into a frightful black tunnel. And the traffic down there was a mess, I must say, with billions of birds going all the wrong way. They bumped me with bikes, and they banged me with dishes. I ran into ladders, beds, bottles, and fishes. I skidded on garbage. I fell in a horn. Troubles. I wished I had never been born. He has only found more trouble since he left. What? Oh, my goodness gracious. I was down there 3 days in that bird-filled up place. At least 8,000 times I fell smack on my face. I injured 3 fingers, both thumbs and both lips, my shin bone, my backbone, my wishbone, and hips. What's more, I was starved. I had nothing to eat, and damp. Was it damp? I grew moss on my feet. I think it's going to get to Sola Solu at some point. Then just when I thought I could stand it no more, by chance I discovered a tiny trap door. I popped my head out. The great sky was sky blue, and I knew from the flowers I had finally come through. To the banks of the beautiful river Wazoo, it couldn't be far now from Sola Solu. Maybe. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, after everything he's gone to, isn't it great? there it was, with its glittering towers in the air. I'd made it, I'd done it. At last I was there, and I knew that I'd left all my troubles behind when a chap at a doorway that shimmered and shined waved me a wave that was friendly and kind. There he is, waving to him. And there it is finally, the magical city of Sola Sulu. Welcome, he said as he gave me his hand. Welcome, my son, to this beautiful land. Welcome to sweet, sunny Sola Sulu, where we never have troubles, at least very few. As a matter of fact, we have only just one. Imagine, just one little trouble, my son. And this one little trouble, as you will now see, is this one little trouble I have with this key. But one little trouble with this key. Otherwise, there's no troubles in Sola Sulu. Shaking his hand there, he's so happy. There's only one door into Sola Sulu, and we have a key-slapping slipper, we do. This troublesome slipper moved into my door 2 weeks ago Tuesday at 3:45. Since then, I can't open this door anymore. And I can't kill the slipper. It's very bad luck to kill any slipper, and that's why we're stuck. Why no one gets in. And the town's gone to pot. It's a terrible state of affairs, is it not? And so, said the doorman of Sola Sulu, my job at the door here is finished. I'm through. And I'll tell you what I have decided to do. So the key doesn't work. He can't get into Sola Sulu. Nobody can get in. Nobody can get out. Yes, question?
Just a little question. You know, that little green creature who was keeping away from the doorman, he kind of looks like a gnome from Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Okay, he does. Right. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen here. So this is the guy says, I'm leaving, he said. I'm leaving Sola Sulu on the banks of the beautiful River Wahoo, where we never have troubles, at least very few. And I'm off to the city of Bula Bubal on the banks of the beautiful River Wuwal, where they never have troubles, no troubles at all. Come along with me, he said as he ran, and you'll never have any more troubles, young man. He says, we can't get into Sola Sulu, but there's this other place where they don't have any troubles either.
Do you believe him?
Do you think that there's such a place?
No.
So what do you think is going to happen? I have no more troubles, that's what the man said. So I started to go, but I didn't. Instead, I did some quick thinking inside of my head. Then I started back home to the Valley of Vung. I know I'll have troubles. I'll maybe get stung. I'll always have troubles. I'll maybe get bit by that green-headed quail on the place where I sit. But I've bought a big bat, and I'm all ready, you see. Now my troubles are going to have trouble with me. So he decided, you know what? I'm going back home. I've got a bat, and I'll take care of my troubles. So what did you think of that story? What did you think? Do you think Dr. Seuss was, I mean, it was a fun story, great pictures, but do you think Dr. Seuss was trying to tell us something? Yes.
I think he's trying to tell you, during your lifetime, you'll always have troubles.
Exactly. And can you escape from them? Can you just run away and leave them behind? Because you're only going to run into what?
Trouble never goes away.
So what can you do about it?
You just need to live with it.
You need to face it, which is what this character finally decided at the end. Instead of trying to go to some magical place with no troubles, which really doesn't exist, he
Never.
decided he's going to go back to his home, he'll deal with his troubles, and he'll handle them one at a time. So what'd you think? Did you like that story?
Yes.
Yeah, I like this one too. But Dr. Seuss does a lot with his books like that. The Lorax. Anybody know, what does he tell us in the Lorax? What's the theme in this book, if you know it?
Don't destroy the forest.
Exactly. Take care of your environment. Exactly. We only have one planet Earth. Yes.
It's also about, the main plot of that is that some person wants to get money and cuts down a tree, and then the Lorax comes in.
It's about greed too, right? This fellow's greedy and he wants to cut down all the trees. And there's a line in it too that I really like. Toward the end, he says, because at the end, remember, he plants a truffle of seed to grow more trees. And he says, if you don't like the way if you don't like the way things are not going to change. If things aren't right, they're not going to change unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot nothing is going to get better. It's not. So it's important to you to be a good citizen, whether it's taking care of your environment or just taking care of being a good person and trying to make the world a better place. So what did you think? Did you like Dr. Seuss?
Yes.
Excellent. Very good. Do any of you have somebody you could read a story to at home or tell a story? Dr. Seuss books. You can get these books at the library if you don't have any. Read if you got a very younger brother or a sister or a puppy or a kitten, or just practice your reading. It's so important. Read whatever you enjoy reading. If it's about baseball or about going into outer space or about the stars or whatever it is, read. That's how you learn, and you'll all do great in life. Thank you. You're a great audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so much,
letting me
Miss
come.
Shirley.
Thank you. I got to tell you one more thing too. His tongue twisters. Have you read of some of his tongue twisters?
Fox and
They are
Socks
lots,
killed me.
and they are so much fun. Grab this and try to see if you can read through it without falling all over your tongue. It's so much fun. It's great fun.
Years ago, I was babysitting my nieces and nephews, and I always read to them. And my brother, I had never read that book. My brother presented me with that one to read to my nieces and nephews, so that he could sit back and laugh at me when I couldn't do it.
Absolutely. But if anybody wants to get into maybe being an announcer or doing something with your voice, it's really good practice too. So thank you so much. You're a great audience.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me come. I'll let you get back to work.
What do you guys have after?